America's Pulse Network welcomes you to the Pulse Podcast. Today we've got a packed show, from breaking news to informative topics that will keep you well informed. So, please click the subscribe button to get notified of upcoming episodes. If you like what the APN's The Pulse Podcast talks about, then please share the Pulse with others. During this episode of The Pulse, the host looks forward to your comments. Tonight's APN's The Pulse Podcast starts now.
Welcome, everybody. It's Tim Fazenbaker. You have me again this week, and I'm filling in tonight on The Pulse on America's Pulse Network. I have the pleasure to be here one more time this week until Alexandra Levine comes back. I know all of you guys are missing Alexandra. It's going to be an amazing show. Tonight, I will be talking about the State of the Stand, as I'm calling this show, because the State of the Union will be one of the topics that we will talk about and how it really highlights the difference in philosophical belief in this country between parties. But also, we're going to talk to a real person, a special guest that will be talking about a real story that almost what President Trump was doing last night, highlighting people's issues that have been festering in this country because of policies that other politicians have made. So without further ado, I'd like to bring in our special people tonight. First of all, we have our host that you guys all know, starting with Damon Galdo from the Jersey Shore, everyone.
Hello, everyone.
And of course, my favorite cantankerous old man, also from Maryland, Seth Eisenberg from the conservative corner. Give it up.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
Our special guest, you know her as the based mother, all the way from Florida, Eleana Barbera.
What's up?
With a different background tonight. And our very special guest, who you will be hearing from in our second segment, right here, actually from my area, Jen Hines, who's going to be telling a certain story. That's not Jen, but
no, that's not Jen.
Jen will be coming up and talking about something that is affecting millions of people around this country. But also another special guest out of Arizona, Josh Bernstein, with his show, which is the Josh Bernstein show, right? Am I missing something?
Pretty much. JBU show. Yep.
The JBU show works. Yeah, perfect there. So, welcome, guys. It's going to be a fun night. And I'm going to speak for a minute about the State of the Union, which I'm calling the State of the Stand, and then we're going to get into our first segment, which is going to be about the State of the Union. And what you're seeing in this country right now is a divide, not ideological, because when you look at someone like President Trump, he's not really an ideologue. He's more practical. And for people like myself, I was a volunteer for Ted Cruz, and I considered myself more of an ideologue. It helped shift me from really staying in this dogmatic approach into always doing what the book says. And now you're looking at the left, and they're doing extremely what that book says that they have to do. And it's hurting not only the American people, but it's hurting themselves. It's hurting their party. It's hurting their brand. And you saw that last night on that stage, just of what it really means to be a modern Democrat. And it's unfortunate because, look, there were great Democrats. There are still some, but they tend not to vote Democrat anymore. And that's going to be highlighted tonight with our first segment. This segment that we're about to show is going to be talked about in the books for years. It was a masterclass in chess of basically letting someone hang themselves. This first clip that Damon's going to be showing tonight is what really will people remember from last night's State of the Union. So without further ado, one of the clips.
So tonight I'm inviting every legislator to join with my administration in reaffirming a fundamental principle. If you agree with this statement, then stand up and show your support. The first duty of the American government is to protect American citizens, not illegal aliens.
Nobody raised hand.
Isn't that a shame? You should be ashamed of yourself not standing up. You should be ashamed of yourself. That is why I'm also asking you to end deadly sanctuary cities that protect the criminals and enact serious penalties for public officials who block the removal of criminal aliens. In many cases, drug lords, murderers all over our country, they're blocking the removal of these people out of our country, and you should be ashamed of yourself.
So the clip is a little long, but it was definitely worth it, because this shows basically that you have people that were putting themselves and their dogmatic approach ahead of you, the American people. Damon, Galdo, not only are you a successful podcaster with the Jersey Shore, but you also are a candidate for, I was going to say Hair Club for Men, but you are also a candidate in New Jersey District 1.
It's just thin, that's all.
But in New Jersey 1, who is the congressman that you are up against, and did he stand?
No, he did not. His name is Donald Norcross. And I actually found him out. I got the video, I cut it, and I did a little circle around his head. And our great producer, other name Damon as well, is going to highlight the back of his balding head, like mine, and then say and show that he didn't stand. He didn't stand for any of it. He was actually playing on his phone when it happened, and he could care less about it. And I believe this was masterful by Trump. It kind of, you could say, it was maybe a little bit of a gamble, because they did stand for it, and whatever, he would have got away with it anyway. We said, oh, I guess they did stand, because they did stand for other things, for like one other thing, I believe. But that was for the stock market, no insider trading. And then he gave Nancy Pelosi that the jab right afterwards, which was awesome as well. But they don't understand. Trump, he's an entertainer. Like, he knows how to move the cameras. He had his shows and everything else. I've seen videos of him where he talks to producers like, no, I want the light over here. I want this over here. So, he really knows how to do it. And he is very, very good at destroying his opponents. He could do better with getting people to like him, the people that hate him, but still. But this was pre-planned. You could see that he actually was reading it. So he pre-wrote it, or whoever did, and he planned it out beautifully. And the Democrats are so stupid. Like, how did you think they're going to look with on maybe an 80-20, 90-10 issue like that? You're not going to protect the citizens that elected you. You prefer legal out. That's an ad that's going to run forever until the midterms.
If we have that picture of Norcross, we can bring it up.
Yeah, but we don't have it. I just sent it to him. We're going to use it on my podcast on Friday. So I just dug it up, and I was like, where's he at? And I found him. But
yourself and Republicans all over this country can use what President Trump did last night by letting them hang themselves, which is, look, my guy didn't stand. That means he puts illegal aliens before you. They don't care about your basic rights as an American, which I used to always say the job of our government is to protect our God-given rights, which goes into protecting Americans before anyone else. It's the same concept with your family. You protect your family over anybody else, right or wrong. Even if you got a brother, sister, parent, or something that you can't stand, you stand up for them. Nobody else can talk bad about them, only you. That's what it means to be American as well. So my favorite part about this, and I'm going to go to Eleana Barber for no particular reason, was the old man who thinks he's in middle school still, Mr. Al Green, decides this time he's going to do something else to get himself kicked out. We're going to bring up this picture of a sign that he's holding. And Eleana, we're going to ask you, what was Al Green thinking about this sign that he brings up and he holds up? And is he the appropriate person to actually have this sign up there? If we get waiting on the sign to come back up here, but you see President Trump right there, and Al Green's holding a sign. Eleana, what does that say? What is he holding?
That sign says black people aren't apes.
Oh, I thought it said rent apes.
That's what I did too. Black people rent apes.
Well, he's not smart enough to uncover the A then and make it clear. So there's that. So he's the thing, obviously he's trying to be so clever here, make a big old bold statement about that accidental clip of Michelle and Barack as apes, which we all know was just part of a bigger jungle video where all the Democrats were jungle animals and some other ones were also primates, but some white people were primates too. It was an unfortunate sloppy mistake on the part of the Trump social media people. I think at that level, you should be doing better. But what Al said after this is that he felt that he had to take a stand, like of all the things going on in the country. That's the thing that you had to bring to the State of the Union. What is wrong with you, goon? And he said he felt like Rosa Parks took a stand and Martin Luther King Jr. took a stand. And for him to compare himself to MLK and Rosa Parks is just bananas. Completely
bananas. I like that.
Unhinged.
I see what you did there.
Did you mean to do that? That was good.
So, Al, he's a performance artist, as is Trump. But as Damon was just saying, Trump is a seasoned, expert performer. This was, D-list performance from Al, and it's exactly what I would expect from him.
Yeah, he kind of looks like a caveman, in my opinion, but that's a whole other story. Mr. Eisenberg, there were many great guests there last night, from the 5-year-old daughter to Irina Zaruska's mother to the 100-year-old veteran, and many others. Out of those guests, which was your favorite? Which one do you think the Democrats really slighted by not standing for them?
Well, if you want to get down to it, I think the most important guest of that whole thing was the U.S. people, were us, the people of the country, the citizens, the voters. Don't get me wrong, the 100-year-old vet, fucking A. That's incredible.
That was cool.
He's awesome. The Chinook pilot, again, that's just incredible. All the people he called out were incredible. There's not one that I think was more important than the other, but I think overall the most important person there was the people, and the Democrats disrespected us. Like you said, there's a time for standing up and saying I'm a Democrat or I'm a Republican, and there's a time just to shut up and just be an American. And when Trump said, hey, the first and foremost job of American politicians is to defend American citizens, not illegal aliens, that's a time just to be an American. That's when you stand up and go, yep, we're here for the American people. That's who put us in office. That's who vote. That's our boss. And by not standing up for that disrespects us. That disrespects that 100-year-old vet. That disrespects the other military members in the audience, the police officers, the firefighters, everybody. That's just disrespectful. And what little bit of respect I had for liberals is flushed down the toilet. I think they're scum. I think they're disgusting human beings. I think they're more concerned about themselves and trying to outwoke the person next to them than anything else. And I wish all of them to get irritable bowel syndrome, stuck in a car in mid-August with a bad cough. So that's all I wish for those people at this point. I don't think they're American, and we should do whatever we can to make them feel unwanted and unwelcome in this country moving forward.
I got to say, Irina Zarutska's mother, you could see the resemblance in the face from the videos. That was the first time I had seen her. Her breaking down and crying, obviously, as a parent, many, I think all of us are parents. It is, it's very hard to watch. And I found that just as a human being, not as a person with a political persuasion, I found that to be one of the most cruel things, that they did not stand for that, that innocent woman who fled Ukraine to come here and ends up getting killed because we have mental health issues and we are letting people out of prison that shouldn't be out of prison. And I think it highlighted, in a sense, that actual statement that you're supposed to stand for American citizens before illegals or anyone else. It's to take care of our own people. So, Josh,
Yes.
This to me could be a game changer for the midterm elections. Most of the time the incumbent president loses ground in these off-year elections and these midterms. And because of what happened last night, I want to know your opinion. Do you think this moved the needle at all? And do you think that the Republicans will still lose both chambers, or will they lose one? Or do you think they'll actually gain anything?
Well, a couple of things. First, I want to answer the question, and then I'm going to come back out and come back in because I keep freezing for some reason. I don't normally do that. But I think people need to understand the why. Why couldn't these Democrats stand? I mean, if you can't stand for victims of crimes, if you can't stand for the hockey team winning the gold medal, why can't they stand? It's very, very simple. The reason they can't stand is because the people that were brought to this State of the Union address have been victims of their policies. So as soon as they stand up, they are not only admitting guilt, but of course, they're also having problems with their base of supporters, and they will lose supporters. So they were stuck. And this is the brilliance of President Trump and his political savvy by putting them in that situation to begin with. So if they stand and they applaud, now all of a sudden they're just like anybody else, and they can't be just like anybody else because then they admit that their policies caused these people's lives to be ruined, and that's the reason why they can't stand.
So we may.
And as far as the midterms, look, I think it's really, you can go back to the Clintons, you could go back to James Carville. It's the economy, stupid. If the economy comes back and comes back roaring, number one. Number two, we've got to pass the SAVE Act. It was wonderful to hear John Thune today say the minute they open up the government that they're going to try to get a vote on that right away. And let's talk about this notion that somehow the government is closed down because of DHS and DHS funding and ICE. Absolute garbage. The reason the government is partially shut down is very simple. Because if the government's open, we pass the SAVE Act. And they don't want to lose their illegal voter base. So if the government's shut down, we can't move forward with election integrity. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure this stuff out. So it's really like lining up at a firing squad, knowing the bullet's coming. Eventually, yes, it's coming. And yes, we will get the SAVE Act. Now, to answer your question as to which houses or both or whatever, I don't know. I think it's way too early. I think there's a lot of time left to recuperate here. I think this might have been the catalyst of reminding the American people just how absolutely bat-you-know-what crazy and insane the left has become. And I think that he will get a bump from that without a doubt. But more importantly, you pass the SAVE Act, you get the economy rolling, and whatever's going on in their personal lives as far as their own personal economic situation will dictate who wins the midterms. I do believe at this point, the Republicans are likely to hold the Senate, and we'll see what happens with the House.
Great points. Does anyone know if, and it's weird, it's strange to say it still, but one of the most reasonable Democrats currently elected is Fetterman. Did he stand? I know I saw him shake hands with Trump, but did he stand for all of these guests?
I don't think all of them, but for a vast majority.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was one of the only ones who stood for certain things. Yeah, I believe he did stand for. I know he stood for Irina Zarutska specifically, for sure.
Which means we're going to primary him out soon, so he's not going to last long.
So I saw.
Yeah, he's been saying some normal things. They're not going to put up with that.
He won't be.
I saw a poll today that 72 or 3% of Pennsylvania Republicans approve of Fetterman, and then 60-some% of Democrats disapprove of Fetterman. And,
wow.
And it's a shame. I've heard the guy speak, and I don't agree with a lot of the things that he believes, but he came around and is generally, I'll say generally moderate compared to what you're seeing with the left out there right now. Bottom line, let's ask to go around the corner quick, Damon. Rate this State of the Union in your lifetime. Would you say this is one of the top 3 that you've ever seen?
I would say so. Yes, it is. No, yes, it was very long, but you expect that from Trump. He's going to go on and on and on. So it was very long. I watched 3/4 of it last night, and then I finished the rest this morning. That's how long it was. But I thought I rated it in the top 3 for sure, because it wasn't just about policy. You know, you have Barack Obama. Well, I'm not even going to count Biden, because he was a piece of toast when he was doing his State of the Union addresses. But like Barack Obama would go there and talk about policy, but no one's going to remember policy talks at the State of the Union. What people are going to remember is what Trump just did to the Democrat Party. When he baited them and they wouldn't stand for it. He made sure it was a spectacle. It was actually kind of entertaining to watch in a way, and it was sad to watch also. It's like watching Old Yeller when the dog dies. You know, you're like, really? Yeah, but it was still an entertaining movie.
Or never ending story when he's in. But Seth, we're up against a break real quick. Seth, what do you think? Top 3 in your lifetime?
I like that. I think a lot of bluster, but he got his points across, and it was entertaining, and it wasn't like, oh wow, this is another dry speech from a politician. It was long, I agree. I did about 3/4. I was like, yeah, that's all I can do. I gotta get out of here and breathe.
Josh, what about you?
The most consequential one I have ever seen by far. And I think just real briefly, I would say that, you know, it's basically he's always campaigning. It doesn't matter if he's in front of a crowd in Pennsylvania, if he's in front of the nation, if he's doing his RNC and acceptance speech, he's always campaigning. So any speech he gives is going to be similar to a rally.
Eleana, your thoughts?
I'm just glad I didn't have to see Pelosi sitting back, behind him with that nasty face that she used to make the whole time. So, because I was thinking of that, I was looking at Mike Johnson sitting there like he's just like a little elf on a shelf, and he's pleasant, whether or not I agree with him a lot. At least it wasn't Pelosi.
Well, I appreciate it, guys. We're going to be heading into our first break, and shortly after that break, we're going to bring in a special guest, Jen Hines, who has a tragic story which ties exactly into what President Trump was saying just on the other side of this break. So hang tight. We'll be right back.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Join the revolution. because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Welcome back. I'm Tim Fazenbaker, filling in tonight, your special guest host for one more week, and then Alexandra Levine should be back. And in this next segment, it's a very tough story to hear. President Trump talked about last night putting Americans first before illegal aliens. And you saw things like with Irina Zarutska about taking care of our people, whether they're born here or not, but taking care of our people that are good, everyday Americans that are here doing the right thing and making sure that we're safe. And that means knowing who's coming into this country. And you saw this with Delilah's Law. Delilah was the 5-year-old who was hit by an illegal in an 18-wheeler, I believe, and she's not the same girl. Obviously, she'll never be the girl that she would have been. But President Trump wanted to show that we will do what we can to protect our own Americans. But right here in Maryland, 5 minutes from where I live, this story hasn't been getting the national attention yet. And part of our goal is to make sure that people know all of these stories. Now, I've met many of the people that in Maryland that have lost their lives to illegal aliens and met their families. You have Rachel Marin, you have Kayla Hamilton, you have Takara Thompson. And unfortunately, we have another one, a gentleman named Todd Hines, a 19-year-old who was walking to work on his very first day, hit by a non-citizen. And the story is baffling and the story is very upsetting. And we're going to bring in our special guest tonight, Jen Hines, whose nephew, Todd Hines, was the 19-year-old that was taken from us. And you see beautiful young man here. And, I have kids that are roughly just about his age. And when this story first hit in this area, it shook me as a father first, because I thought this could have been my child, or maybe this was someone my kids went to school with, or they know. And they didn't, but Todd lived not far from me. And Jen and his aunt is going to talk about the story, about what it happens, what is currently going on, and why this situation could have been avoided, and what we can do to make sure we don't have something like this happen to anybody in this country again. So I bring in Jen. Jen, thank you for being here. I know this is very touching for you and the family. I want to give you the open floor to just tell the story about who Todd was and then what happened.
Thank you. I appreciate the opportunity to meet everyone. I wish it wasn't under these circumstances, but definitely appreciate the opportunity to get Todd's story out and to make people aware of what is going on right here in our neighborhoods to our families. So my nephew, as you stated earlier, 19 years old, was walking to his first day of work. So proud to be going to work, and told his dad the week prior, "Dad, I don't need you to come pick me up. I don't need a ride. I'm going to walk. I'm fine." "Son, are you sure? I can come get you." He was working on his car, so didn't have his wheels ready to be able to drive himself to work. And such a headstrong young man, he was determined he was going to walk himself to work. Todd Sr. tells him, "Son, please be careful. That road is like a raceway. People don't pay attention. Be careful walking to work. Make sure you don't have both your ear pods in. Pay attention. Are you sure you don't need me to pick you up?" "No, Dad, come on. You don't trust me. What's the worst that can happen?" Okay. So Todd Sr., mind you, Todd Jr. is walking to his first day of work at the company where his dad works. Todd Sr. is driving to work and sees some snow plows on the side of the road, thinking that the snow plows are just broke down. Todd Sr. gets to work and hears the news of a fatal pedestrian accident on North Point Boulevard. Todd asks his supervisor, "Can I just run back up there just for peace of mind? Can I run back up there just to make sure it's not It's not him. Todd's supervisor allows him to do that. He gets up to the location of the accident and sees shoes laying in the middle of the road. He looks at the shoes and calls Todd's mom. Does Todd have white Nikes? Did he wear white Nikes today? No, I don't think he has them. Todd remembered the last time they played golf together. I'm pretty sure those are his shoes. Of course, he doesn't want them to be, but he's pretty sure they are. He shows an officer a picture of Todd Jr. on his phone. Can you please tell me if this is who's under that sheet? Can you please tell me if this is my son? The officer says they're not allowed to move the sheet. So they call his cell phone. The officer walks over, and indeed, it's Todd Jr.'s phone ringing underneath of the sheet. So lo and behold, Todd's world falls apart right then and there, the middle of North Point Boulevard, on a regular Tuesday morning, just trying to go to his job and so excited for his son to begin his first day with him. As the road is completely blocked off with traffic, the agencies are all there doing their investigation. They've got the evidence markers out. They've got the drones up in the air taking all the pictures. More and more of our family starts congregating there, just embracing Todd's grandmother, everybody. It had just snowed so much the day before. Everybody was having a hard time getting out and getting there. So as the family is growing, we have more and more questions about what's going on, what happened, where is this guy, how could this happen? In my mind, I'm wanting to think this is, a terrible, terrible tragedy that, it's just a terrible mistake. This nobody could do this and drive away with knowing what they've done here, as we're just staring across the street at his body laying under the sheet and his book bag on one of the snowbanks. So we're talking to the officers. They're saying that they have all the resources out looking for the vehicle that was reported to be on some of the video. The helicopter is out, circling. It's been hours. This has been hours since the incident happened. He was hit at 7:32 in the morning, broad daylight. Wasn't super early, broad daylight. So the crime scene is finishing up their investigation and tells Todd Sr. specifically, that he really doesn't suggest that he sees his son in this condition. Todd was adamant. He had to see his son. He had to see what had happened. He had to see his son, and he did. He walked over, identified his son, saw what had taken place, saw his son for the last time, and fell apart. He lost his world that day right there on the side of the road. And as things were unfolding, the medical examiner doing their job, all of the first responders, the amazing community support from, just the nearby restaurants coming out, trying to give people hot chocolate because it was freezing cold out there that day. They were wrapping up, and we heard something come over on the radio and thought we heard correctly, and confirmed with the officer they had a suspect. They had found a suspect. All the police vehicles start flying down the street, and as I said, most of his family had gathered there by that point. We all got in our vehicles and followed. Half a mile down the road, they had found the individual that was driving the vehicle, and at that very moment, they were arresting him. So there was a sense of relief in that moment that the person who was responsible for this had been caught, and it wasn't going to be one of these situations where there was a constant unknown. However, we still had tons and tons and tons of questions. But as we're trying to process everything that's happening, we're looking. I mean, this is 3 hours and 49 minutes later from my nephew being hit and killed to the time that the suspect was arrested. So we're confused as to why this individual, the vehicle that they're arresting him in, is facing in the direction of the supposed employer. We have so many questions. Where was this man? Where was he going? What was he doing? What happened in between the time that he hit my nephew and the time now that he's being arrested? Thank God that the resources that were deployed were the helicopters being out, the immediate, responsiveness. Thank God for it, because he was arrested, and we were able to begin processing what was going on and what was going to happen in the next coming days and weeks. So the gentleman you can see over my left shoulder was arrested, taken into Baltimore County Detention Center, the first bail hearing held without bond. Thank you. You've killed our family. You've killed him. You've driven over him in broad daylight. A lot of people don't know this. There's a video of this happening, which completely changed my perspective of wanting to think the best about human nature, and that this just had to be a terrible tragedy. This video changes it from being a terrible tragedy to a horrific murder. My nephew was hit at full speed, thrown forward, hit again, ran over, and drug. And this man told police he must have fallen asleep. He had been driving, removing snow for 30 hours. He must have fallen asleep and thought he hit a snowbank. My nephew was wearing all black clothing. How mistake somebody, a human being walking, wearing all black, for a snowbank? And thank God for this video from Mickey's Liquors and the Muddy Beaver right across the street from where this happened, because without it, we'd have no proof. We might not even have somebody in custody. And we're still reeling, trying to figure out where this is all going to take us, where this has happened. You see what is going on online. So many people have come out and said that they've seen this man driving before and has absolutely no care for children on bicycles, that this man has tried to hit their children before. And I'm not one for speculations in any of this. All I know is my nephew was walking to work in broad daylight and was murdered by this man. Fast
Jen,
forward.
if I can say real quick, Jen, I hope we didn't lose Jen. Let's see if we can get her back. There she is. Jen, I just wanted to say, when Todd was killed, from what we know on the video, which hasn't been released to the public, but there's no skid marks or anything, and there was no stopping afterwards. And this gentleman, I don't even want to say gentleman, his name's Angel, who is a non-citizen, and I'm going to throw out allegedly just for legal reasons here. He ends up saying he can't speak English, but he's been here 15 years. So he goes through the court system until they finally hire a dream team, and he is released on house arrest, which is where it really starts. And Todd Sr. ends up posting he needs help, because this is just like Delilah's law, where you have somebody, let's say he were driving 30 hours, which is against the rules anyway. But if he had a CDL and he can't speak English, that's one issue. We don't know completely. Everything about this guy is a mystery, but we know he doesn't speak English. We know that he's not a U.S. citizen, and he allegedly does all this, and then he's on house arrest. Now he gets to hang with his family and do whatever he's doing, and he is being prioritized over a 19-year-old American boy.
100%.
And that is where the Todd Sr. starts pushing. He's looking for help. He's looking for justice for Todd. And I see that. And we had the picture up that Libs of TikTok was a social media major influencer. They picked up the story, and they talk about how Todd's dad is he's slamming woke Baltimore for these policies because the judge had to, per Maryland rules, let him go on house arrest. Take it from there. What do we know at this point is going on with this case?
So right now, as you said, he's home in his, warm bed with his family, allowed to go out, allowed to work, not allowed to drive, but allowed to go to any of his attorney meetings, visits with his dream team. That is quote of the lawyer, of the judge who let him out on house arrest because of the Maryland law. He's home, allowed to work, allowed to continue living life and doing exactly what my nephew was trying to do, go into work and make a living for himself and his family. And we're just left here wondering how can this happen? How can this happen in America? How is this happening to us? How does he have more rights than our nephew? It's just unimaginable.
And you and I have spoken before, and you're not necessarily a political person. So this isn't a political thing, obviously, for you, because it's touching home. And in our community, since you and I live in the same community, it's a very close community, and
Absolutely.
we rally for these things. And the story you talked about with Mickey's, they had their own personal tragedy with their son, who was, let's just say, had a tragic accident with a vehicle as well. And I think whether you believe in God or not, Todd Sr. and Mickey's, I won't say his name, but their owner, they were able to connect at that moment and have something that they could empathize with each other. So tell me about Todd Sr. and the family's wishes at this point. Do you really want President Trump to be involved, to know this story, to know Todd's story, and to make sure this doesn't happen again? And how could that happen? What would you like to see changed?
Absolutely. We want this in President Trump's hands. We want Todd Hines' name to not die with him. We want change to happen so this doesn't happen to anybody else. We want to stop seeing people who kill others allowed to go home on house arrest. There needs to be punishment. That was what was said. This isn't the time for punishment. This isn't that trial. We have the ultimate punishment. What does it hurt when the whole point of bail is, somebody being a flight risk? He hit him and fled the scene. If that isn't the very definition of being a flight risk, what is? Yes, accidents do happen. This is not an accident. This was a murder in broad daylight, and we want justice. We want Todd to be known for the hardworking nephew, son that he was, trying to go to work and do the right things.
Jen, I have a quick question for you. Sorry, I'm just curious. How is he out? Well, I don't know what the laws are in Maryland as far, but he's illegal. So do they give illegal immigrants licenses in Maryland?
From what I'm told, it's a sanctuary state, so basically anybody can get a license.
Yeah.
However, when he was pulled over and arrested, he produced no license.
I just don't understand how he's out. You know, he's not supposed to be here. He's illegal, and he committed a crime. He left the scene of a hit and run and
A danger to the public.
Yeah, and it's a good point about the flight risk. I mean, he's from another country, so he could leave whenever he wants. I mean, I'm just blown away by your story. And I'm very sorry to hear what happened to your nephew.
Yeah,
and
thank you. Absolutely tragic.
Yeah, thank you for coming on and telling your story.
Absolutely. Thank you guys for allowing the platform, and please, anything we can do to keep Todd's name out there and get the justice that he deserves.
Yeah, I know some folks in and around the Trump administration, so I'll try to get this out to them as well, to get that in front of them. Again, my thoughts and prayers and condolences. I'm so sorry that this happened to you. The only way this is ever going to change is if we hold judges accountable for their actions. And what I mean by that is if a judge releases somebody and they then commit another crime, if they were a violent offender, maybe that wasn't this case or not, but I think you said that it was. There was other instances where he was hitting people and going after people on bicycles and things like that. So the only way it's going to change is if we hold the judges accessory to whatever crime they recommit. It's the only way it's going to happen.
We have a few more minutes. So Jen, that's a good point that I would like you to kind of talk about. I believe it was Judge Cahill who actually said he did not want to let him out, but his hands were tied.
Yeah, he said this is a tough one. This is a tough one. When he
What do you mean his hands were tied?
So he had to. We pretty much knew going into this, with knowing the judge that was assigned to it, that he follows the letter of the law, and because he followed the Maryland bail reform, I forget the number of the law that it is, but they do a risk matrix assessment. And because this gentleman had no prior convictions and no prior record, he scored extremely low on the assessment. Therefore, he had to release him because of the bail reform law that has to release low risk assessment level defendants.
But even if he didn't, and he just ignored the Baltimore law, what are they going to do? I mean, there's nothing they could have done anyway. You know how hard it is to remove a judge from the bench? I mean, we still got Boasberg, not to get on another subject, but it's almost impossible. So the only way that this is going to get fixed is if they're held responsible for the actions that they put onto the communities. It's the only way. And I hope that, Congress would come up with something like that, because, the CDL licenses, obviously getting away from illegals and all that is a step in the right direction. But we have to hold these judges accountable for their horrible, horrible decisions based on wokeness, ideology, and restorative justice, which is a perversive term.
Yeah. Seth, you were going to say something?
Yeah. First of all, you have my sympathies. That's horrible. And everybody knows me, and there's so much I want to say right now, but I don't want to make this about me or politics. So I just have a question for you. What's one thing that Todd loved doing with his family that you'll always remember and make you smile when you think about it?
Yeah. Well, I won't say it's something that he loved to do with his family, but one of his favorite things to do was go to the gym. And as you can see, one of the picture I have over my right shoulder is him very proud of himself going to the gym and working on his physique. And that's something that he shared with his mom. They would text each other with their, the new weights that they were able to lift and press. But I mean, Todd, growing up, Todd, I always remember him with his dad, Todd Sr. They were inseparable, his best friend. And Todd was the best, easiest kid to get along with, didn't ever give his parents any trouble. He, stuck to himself, didn't cause any issues, loved playing video games, loved working hard. One of the hardest working people I've ever known. I told Tim this when we were doing the pre-interview, that he is a harder worker than most adults that I've ever known. The work ethic on this kid was incredible. So yeah, I can't say enough good things about the kid.
And if I had to guess from what I was told from where he was walking, probably a 45 minute walk to work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And he was willing to do that walk.
Wanted to, absolutely.
And that was when we had what we here in Maryland call snowcrete, where we had the good amount of snow and we had a couple inches of ice on top of it. It was treacherous conditions to walk in, and you have this young man who is walking that long in terrible conditions. But you have another American life needlessly, senselessly taken by somebody who's not a citizen, who is getting preferential treatment while Todd is gone and his family is suffering and never will be the same. So, Jen, go ahead.
Can I just say, I mean, we're saying not a citizen, but this man is an illegal alien, right? Because those are two different things. We could have somebody who was here legally versus illegally, and it does add a different element, because I am so horrified by this story. I don't want to make this about me. We have had, similar things happen in my family. Losing a young person is absolutely devastating to a family. It's just a destruction that you'd never quite recover from. You'll be all right, but it's going to be a long time. So but the illegal alien thing to me is I just want to be clear. This person was here illegally, right?
I'll take that for Jen. I'll grab it if it's okay.
Is that a yes or no? Yeah, that's
we can't get a specific. We can't get the full answer, which is, but we can find. We do know he is not a U.S. citizen, but in Maryland, because of the wokeness in here, they won't release those things. They won't comply with 287G. They won't turn anything over to ICE. But we can assume that he is illegal, but we know he is not a citizen. That's why I'm phrasing it that way. Jen, if there's anything you want to add on that.
We've heard that he's here on a work visa, but how long are you here on a work visa for?
Right, and is it
for
still a valid visa?
Right, exactly. So
he's been here for 4 years.
I don't want to make presumptions, don't want to speculate. We haven't been told whether he's legal or not. So to me, that says enough.
Yes.
Huh.
This just happened too, January 27th.
Yesterday was 1 month.
I'm just very sorry. This is infuriating. It's just infuriating.
It is. It absolutely is. And I'm not one to want to get in the limelight whatsoever. Todd asked me if I would do this on his behalf, and I'm happy to do whatever I can to keep my nephew's name out there and to get him the justice that he deserves.
Has the family set up any kind of funding, scholarships, anything where people can contribute or help?
We had an enormous outpouring of support with the GoFundMe that was set up for his funeral, and we are working with the attorneys to try and pursue something that we can help his name live on and do some good for the community.
Jen, I appreciate your strength to come on here and tell this story, and it is our mission to make sure that this gets as much attention as possible, and we'll continue to fight for Todd and for every other American that could be going through a situation like this now or in the future.
We greatly appreciate it. March 16th is supposed to be the next hearing. All the support we can get is greatly appreciated.
How can somebody reach you or anybody that's the main contact?
I'm on Facebook, and Andrea Hines is on Facebook as well. Reach out to us. We're on there. We're sharing the photos of Todd, the incident, all the details that we're getting as they're coming in, as they're being confirmed. So, feel free to reach out to us. Facebook's probably the easiest way.
Do you have a GoFundMe?
The GoFundMe that we had originally set up has been closed out for the funeral expenses. At this time, no, we don't have anything else.
Try
on
using Give, Send, Go. If you start another one,
Okay.
use Give, Send, Go. They're a Christian-based organization. They're not woke, and you won't have to worry about ever being censored or canceled or anything like that. Not that this would be a situation that would, but Give, Send, Go is a Christian organization. I know Jacob Wells, the founder, very well. Good guy.
Thank you, Jen, for being here and telling us this. We wish you the best, and you and I will be in contact. But if anybody, if you can't find Jen or her family, you can find me on Facebook. I can connect you guys to that. Jen, you have our blessings and prayers and everything, and we wish you guys the best.
Thank you so much.
Thank you again. We'll take a quick break and be right back.
Welcome to America's Pulse Network. This is APN's very own White House correspondent, Alexandra Levine.
This is so amazing and miraculous. We've never had a president in the history of our nation doing this. And we hope to God that he continues doing this forever and ever. Thank you. God bless you, everybody. And God bless President Trump.
And God bless you.
Hello, everyone. This is Alexandra Levine with the America's Pulse Network. I am the White House correspondent right here in the heart of D.C. as President Trump is celebrating 250 years of America and the military.
Subscribe and follow America's Pulse Network on the above social medias.
Well, welcome back, everybody. Tim Fazenbaker here, filling in on the Pulse. And that was a tough segment. And our thoughts and prayers are with that family as well. It ties into the next story, which is another attempted assassination on President Trump. And this has been ongoing. Obviously, it's becoming kind of the norm where we're seeing these types of situations where you have people in this country that, and again, aren't putting Americans first. They are putting anybody else first in order to achieve their political goals, which is not the American way. So we're gonna pull up a picture here that kind of highlights some of the vitriol that we've seen. We saw it last night at the State of the Union. We've seen it with all kinds of members of Congress and the Senate, where they are just inciting people to do bad acts, in a sense, to do harm. And we've had many people arrested for threatening to kill the president, threatening to kill Kristi Noem. But there's a picture of Ilhan Omar that hopefully we can bring up in a minute here. Just, again, scolding, just the constant, non-professional, almost inhumane belief that they can just treat other people like trash, treat Americans who are fighting to protect other Americans like trash. So, Seth, I'll start with you on this one here. Is this another attempted assassination by this 21-year-old down in Mar-a-Lago? Is this another example of this out of control vitriol and hatred and incitement from the left, basically trying to get people to go and kill President Trump and kill people that are America first? Is this another example of that?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, it's ridiculous that you have the BAFTA awards. The guy had Tourette syndrome, yelled out the racial slur. We're all up in arms about that. We're all screaming and yelling. Oh my God, he did that! But you have that moron from some third world shithole who somehow slithered into the Congress, who could scream and yell at the president, and no one says a word about it. No one's concerned about what she said because it's her First Amendment right. You know what? I'm so sick of hearing about your rights. What about your responsibilities? You are a member of Congress. Shut your fucking mouth. If you don't like it, talk about it somewhere else. These people from other countries, even under our country, get elected to these political positions, need to get thrown the fuck out of this country. I'm sick of it. Tired of being nice. Tired about the Constitution protect. I don't care. They run their mouth. Some sick liberal hears it. Because if you call someone a Nazi long enough, what are you going to start thinking? I got to kill him. He's a Nazi because Nazis are bad. Fascists are bad. So if I kill him, I'm a hero. That's why they do it. I really don't blame the psycho pieces of shit that try to do this because they're just doormats. They're being used by these liberals because these liberals aren't stupid. They know if they say this enough, this is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So every time it happens, what we need to do is put lead in these people's heads, throw them in a goddamn dumpster, send the family of this lunatic the bill for the disposal of the body, make them pay for it, and then find out what liberal politician was running their mouth that he was listening to and hold them responsible. I'm tired of this because it's not going to stop at the president. What's next? Well, I don't like what this guy over my neighbor said. He's a Nazi. I got to go kill him. Or this guy down the street, the postman, he delivered my mail late because he's a fascist. I'm going to go kill him. It's not going to stop. These people will not stop. And we need to stop trying to compromise and get along and talk to and have dialogue. You can't do that with these people. They are insane. They are evil. They are vicious. And all they want to do is win. And they don't care who they got to kill or intimidate or hurt to do it. So you know what? We need to start being the same way. We need to stop trying to be nice because it's not going to work. When someone punches you in the face, you got to assume they don't like you and they don't want to talk to you anymore. So we need to stop letting these people punch us in the face and go, oh, well, maybe if I talk to them a little bit more, try to give them a hug, we can be friends. They don't want to be our friends. They want us dead. They've made that clear because we're Nazis. We're all Nazis to them. Bunch of shit.
I remember 10 years ago or so when President Trump was coming onto the political scene, one of the things they kept pushing in the very beginning was he hated Jews. He was anti-Semitic. And they quickly lost that narrative because there was so much about President Trump that he was supportive of the Jewish community and supportive of Israel, and he moved the capital. And all of a sudden, it just completely destroyed their narrative, and then they shifted to other things. And I think that needs to be reminded to people because it shows that there was a narrative that was so wrong that they had to shift their narrative. And now it's all you care about is Israel, or all you care about are Jews. And it goes from the Saul Alinsky playbook. But Damon, let me ask you this. I'm going to pull up a picture of this kid, this 21-year-old man who was doing this. There is a common
wrong picture.
Look, this is the kid that was actually trying to assassinate Trump.
In Mar-a-Lago.
Yeah,
he's trans. The real picture is he's trans, but go ahead.
Correct. And that's where I'm going. There is a similar look and foundation with a lot of these people that are doing these things. Why is that?
Why is it? It's because it's all pre-planned. I said it before and I'll say it again. I'll never stop saying it. You go back to January 10th, 1963. It's the way to destroy America from within. These kids are indoctrinated from birth. Their parents were indoctrinated. They weren't in colleges. And that you cannot destroy the United States from the outside because we're too powerful. We're surrounded by vast oceans. And you're not going to be able to do it unless you get inside and split the people up. And that is exactly what's happening right now. And that is the Democrat Party. The Democrat Party turned into that party. They're a soulless party, like I said before. And that they're communists, they're Marxists, and they're going to destroy the United States. And I'm tired of it. I mean, I really am. I told everyone before, I never really wanted to get involved in politics or be a politician. I like my job. I like what I do. But I have 2 young kids. And I can't, the only thing necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. That's one of my favorite quotes. So somebody has to step up and do something. And it just bothers the hell out of me. I'm afraid too. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm not going to lie. I'm afraid because I don't know how deep it's going to go. I don't know. They're pushing this civil war to split between the American people, and they're right there doing it. I mean, they're almost across that line to where they can accomplish it. And I'm afraid that it's going to come to that because in my mind, it's like, okay, well, I want to protect my children, everyone else's children as well, and have a better future for them. But at what point do I do it politically to where it goes south and then it has to go the way they want it to happen? They want that civil war. They want that violence. They want it. And I'm trying to fight against it as best as I can. But that's what scares the hell out of me. Is at what point do we get to that line and it's crossed and you have to get there? And again, it scares the shit out of me.
there's a mental health aspect, obviously, and my background's mental health. I've talked about before, but there's a mental health aspect, and there are people that are manipulating these youth. We'll just say that have these predispositions, and they are encouraging them to do these things. Eleana, I'm going to show a video here, and I believe this is your sister in this video, from what I was told. And this is the type of video that I think is exactly what is going on across the country. So if we got this video, I want you to watch this and tell me what you think.
I don't want impeachment. I don't want them to serve time. I want them taken into the city town square, hung from their ankles, and cut them from groin to chin.
Lady, you gotta talk to your sister.
I have several sisters.
Which one is it?
She knows who she is. Yeah.
How do we stop this? Because we see this so much. People just fueled on emotion. They're not logical, and they are just unhinged. How do we stop it? How do we change our culture so that this never happens again?
This is an all hands on deck societal approach that we need. First of all, we need to abolish the teachers' unions. They are pushing this stuff on children from kindergarten. It is not an exaggeration to say that. Then you have the colleges pumping out new fresh-faced teachers who are going to go into elementary schools and middle and high schools and teach children social activism. So we have, they're just, it's a machine. That's where it starts, with parents at home. Do not give your child a smart device. I see people, I go to a restaurant, I'll see a 6-month-old like this with an iPad propped up in front of it. I've seen 4 or 5-year-olds with their own iPhones. These children's minds aren't developed. They're not developing correctly. And then they're being fed intellectual junk food from the teachers and the administrators and the TikTok. So that it is going to really just take an all hands on deck awakening in order to stop that. The one thing that would put it, just throw this whole train off the tracks instantly, is most parents pulling their kids out and homeschooling. I tell them all the day, they say, well, oh, my kid's not going to be affected by that. I say, listen, if you put your kid into a vat of poison for 8 hours a day, and then you come home and give the kid a bath, the child is still poisoned. Just because your kid sits with you for a half an hour at dinner, do not think that you can undo 8 hours of brainwashing. You can't. It seeps in like poison. So for me, that is the biggest thing. Take control of the young people's minds so that they become unable to be brainwashed, and they become they have an armor on them, the armor of God, the armor of clear thinking, the armor of intellectualism that these arrows of insanity can't get through. So they don't turn into Tyler Robinson. So they don't turn into this 21-year-old poor soul who got brainwashed into thinking that he was doing good by trying to shoot Donald Trump.
Yeah.
Well,
Josh,
I put tinfoil hat on my kids. It didn't work. Just so
right.
it didn't work.
Josh, this reminds me of your ex-girlfriend from what you were saying, right? But so what do we do? I mean, you have people like this that are out in the streets. They're around other children and causing issues. So what is the solution? But then at the second point, why is it that we aren't hearing about people like crooks and these assassins that, in Butler, Pennsylvania and other places? We're not really getting the details of things going on. So how can we actually even correct this stuff if we don't know what's going on?
That's a great point. And most people think that when Crooks, the patsy, let's call him what he was shot, that he was only shot by a Secret Service sniper. That is incorrect. People can look up Aaron Zippoloni. Aaron Zippoloni was a local police officer who actually shot Crooks from the ground and knocked the gun out of his hand. And then once he got himself together, that's when the fatal shot came from the sniper. People don't even know that. But I said this a long time ago. If I was President Trump, where's your sense of urgency? Why wouldn't you put your hand on the Bible, swear in as President of the United States, get the people around you and say, I want to know by midnight tonight, January 20th, by midnight tonight, who shot me? Who was behind this? Where is this network of people that were working in concert with the Democratic Party's higher up and elites? Because clearly that's where this came from. So again, this is what I don't understand. Why are we not hearing any of this? Where are these investigations? That's a big part of it. But the other part of this is the media, or the prostitutes, as I like to call them. And the reality is that what the Trump administration needs to do is they need to go through, have one person with a group of people, maybe 10, 12 prosecutors, and their only sole job is to go through the last 4 or 5 years of Democrats or Republicans, for that matter, talking about President Trump in a way in which, people would incite to violence. Whether it's we're going to have to put a bullet in him, like the idiot from the liberal Republican group, the Lincoln Republicans said, or some of these other people calling him a Nazi and, he's got to be taken out. All these horrible things. And let's start prosecuting these people under incitement to violence crimes, because clearly these are felonies. And if we start holding people accountable, then they're going to be forced to change their rhetoric. But I do agree with Eleana. It starts in the schools. I mean, they were taught socialism in kindergarten. Share with little Johnny, share with little Susie, so everybody gets a little piece, right? It's been indoctrinated in from kindergarten on. So one of the things I will say about Charlie Kirk, he was absolutely right when he called college a scam. We need more kids going into trade schools and less kids going into colleges. That's 100% fact. Because these kids will come out smarter, they'll come out less indoctrinated, they'll come out without the debt, and quite frankly, they're going to take their specific targeted skill set degrees, and they're going to use them to make people money and themselves money immediately, and eventually can open up their own businesses and not have $250,000 of college debt because they studied lesbian synchronized swimming competitions. You know what I mean? It's like, it's ridiculous. And so all of this stems from education. Take them out of the public schools and get them homeschooled, get them into other schools and things like that. Because as the Nazis said, right, the propagandist, Goebbels said, those who control the youth control the future.
Yep, you're right. We're going to take our last break in here in just a second. When we come back, we're actually going to end on a more positive note. Because it's been a little bit down for a little bit here, but we're going to end on great American patriotism, and then we'll go from there. So last break, and we'll see you on the other side.
America's Pulse Network. The mainstream media is bought and paid for. The truth is twisted to fit their agenda. But America is waking up. Because podcasts are the future for trusted media. Welcome to the America's Pulse Network. It is a network built by patriots that upholds the Constitution. But America's Pulse Network stands for God, truth, and the America First movement. There is no corporate propaganda, no government spin, just real news, real talk, and real voices fighting for faith, freedom, and the future of this great nation with common sense. Here are some of America's Pulse Network podcasts. Alexandra Levine Live, hosted by Alexandra Levine. Jersey Shore Podcast, hosted by Damon Galdo. The Conservative Corner, hosted by Seth Eisenberg. The New Jersey State House Watch, hosted by Jack Brangan and Constance Detzel. APN's The Pulse is moderated by either Alexandra, Damon, Eleana, or Seth. Also tune into America's Pulse Network on the following social media platforms: X, Rumble, Truth Social, Parler, Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Join the revolution because the pulse of America beats for God and country. America's Pulse Network is for faith, family, freedom, and truth.
Welcome back. I'm missing a tooth. My new favorite athlete.
Yes.
We want to get into the golden age of America since we won gold in our 250th anniversary or birth of our nation. The U.S. men's and U.S. women's hockey team won gold, and the gold medal match with the men's was the most rated ever for viewership for a game that started before 9 o'clock on a Sunday, which means hockey's not our number one sport, not our number two sport, but you have a secondary sport at an off time, and we get that much interest, which means America's back, baby. So I'm going to go with the oldest person on this panel. Let's see, who is the oldest person? Everybody's pointing down to Eleana. What? No, we're going back to Seth. All right. Because
I don't even know if that's true.
I don't either. But
I don't think it is either. I think I am.
Because I want to talk about the 1980 Miracle on Ice versus 2026. And in this generation, I think it's correlational. You have something now that we have the 1980. This is our 1980. Seth, were you around to watch 1980? Do you remember much about it? And which one's better?
He was 50 in 1980.
That's what I thought. Yeah,
I was 47 in 1980. I don't remember much about 1980. I think I was still eating paste. I don't remember.
You still do that.
I still do, but now it's by choice. By then, it was like, I think this is more important, especially because of the day and age and everything that's going on around. I think this was like a boost that we needed as a country, because everybody can agree we're the best. The Democrat, Republican, liberal, conservative, we beat the world. We are the best. We can all celebrate that. We all can get on board with that. I think we need more of that. I personally don't watch hockey. I'm sorry. I'm not knocking it. I'm not saying I just never got in. My daughter is a huge hockey fan. Philadelphia Flyers, is that a hockey team?
Yes.
Damn right, you know it is. You know it is.
That's her team. That's
boys
religiously. So, I mean, I'm sure she was happy, but I'm just glad that we won. I mean, it's a team sport. As a bunch of Americans got together who I'm sure aren't all the same. I'm sure they got different religions. We know they do. They got a Jew. The Jew won the scoring goal, a fellow tribesman.
Missing a tooth.
You got liberals and Republicans and conservatives and all sorts of people on that team. They're not all the same, but they came together to win. So if those people can do it, we as a country can. It's that simple. And I think this was more important. I mean, we beat the Russians in the 80s, which was awesome. I mean, we beat the Canadians, which is, they got a good, I guess they're good at hockey. It's always frozen up there, so I'm sure they don't do anything else.
They're 51st state, so.
Yeah. You have to, just real quick, you said if they can do it as a team, we can do it as a country. They all want the same thing. Well, we don't. That's our problem.
I mean, for all the bluster I have, at the end of the day, I firmly believe everybody wants the same thing. We want to do right by our families. We want to make sure our families have what they need to survive. We want to make sure we leave something that for them to be good. We're coming at it from different angles. But I'd like to believe we all want to help our families. We need to get Republican, Democrat, like I've said before, different sides of the same coin. There's really no difference. At the end of the day, they all go together, drink beers, and talk about how great they are.
Are you drunk?
No.
Who are you?
They do that.
The same thing. Happy pill or something. I don't know.
What is this kumbaya crap?
It's not kumbaya. Don't get me wrong. It's not kumbaya. It's either a house divided can't stand.
Listen, we know that, but the truth of the matter is, the progressives have taken over the Democrat Party. You say, they want to take care of their family. No, they don't. They think their family is toxic and they have to, limit contact with them. That's the mentality. They are very specific.
We're not all the same.
Anti-family. They hate men. They hate family. So we truly are not the same anymore. Now, your average standard old school liberal Democrat, yes. Those people, I agree, we generally want the same things. But the progressives are in charge over there. The inmates are running the asylum.
So, Eleana, with that in mind, what was the difference between the female hockey team and the male hockey team? One accepted the invitation, one didn't. And I've heard people on the left upset that the female hockey team's not getting the attention that the men are getting. What is your thought on that?
You want attention? Show up at the White House. Like, show up at the State of the Union. You know what? You get as much attention. Like, oh, sorry, I have to wash my hair that night. Like, what are you talking about? Show up.
Feminism is cancer.
I'm sorry?
Feminism is cancer.
Yes.
Absolute cancer.
Stage 4 pancreatic unsurvivable cancer. It is horrible. So that is what I saw there. I saw a very flimsy excuse for turning down the invitation that felt like we can't. He's a misogynist. We can't go there. Meanwhile, he's the only one trying to save women's sports. Only one trying to keep men out of women's sports and protect Title IX. And he's the devil. So, you're not getting enough attention. Stop being annoying and you'll get more attention. That's my answer to them.
Josh, we're probably in the same age group. Growing up in the 80s as a kid, I remember.
I was 5 years old in 1980.
Oh, okay, well, you're older than me.
Yes.
I might be the youngest guy
I was
here.
the oldest one on the panel.
You're
February
not.
of
You're still not the
1975.
oldest one.
No?
Eleana, you look the youngest. So.
Oh, there you go.
So, but I remember the 80s as this, this amazing time because you had people like Hulk Hogan, you had Ronald Reagan, you had Rambo, or you had Rocky, you had Americana. Yeah, you had, big muscle men and America was great and we knew who the bad guys were. And we haven't been like that for decades. But does this win, along with President Trump and moving into the golden age, does this give you hope that maybe we're moving back to what we had in the 80s?
That's a good question. To answer honestly, no. And the reason I say that is because I don't believe that DEI and the woke ideology is dead. I think it's dormant. In other words, there are many colleges, there are many businesses, there are many politicians that if, God forbid, they ever get back in power, they're going to brush it all off and bring it right back. And that's why we need to codify a lot of these things rather than just having them be executive orders. I will agree the 80s were an incredible decade, my favorite, 100%. And I think that type of mentality in America is what we need to come back to. President Trump is desperately trying to bring that type of mentality back to America, where you have male figures that are not chastised or tried to be turned into women or feminized or anything like that. And I think that the U.S. hockey team, especially the image of Jack Hughes losing his teeth and then fostering the American flag and wrapping it around himself and putting his fist in the air, that pissed them off because that's a throwback to how this country used to be. And I think for the majority of the American citizens, we want the Jack Hugheses of the world. We don't want the, what is that fruitcake from Bud Light? I can't even think of it.
Dylan Mulvaney.
Yeah, Dylan Multraney. Exactly. Yes, Dylan Multraney. And so we don't want Dylan Multraney's, okay? We want Jack Hughes. And I think a lot of this we need to look at, and I'm actually going to do an expose on this, nose rings associated with brain disease. And I know it sounds kind of hokey and crazy, but it's true. You're putting something in your nose that's in your septum that goes directly into your brain. And there are some studies, and I'm doing some research on it, that literally correlates that those from the nose ring mafia, the Karens that have those things, have more susceptibility to having brain issues, cancer, dementia, all kinds of different things. So pull the damn nose rings out and maybe some of these women will come back to their senses. Maybe.
But Damon, I know you put stuff up your nose all the time, or picking it, but
Just his fingers.
Rocky said, Ivan Drago said, if he dies, he dies. But Rocky said, if I could change, you can change. If you can change, we all can change.
Everybody can change.
That is right. So the Summer Olympics are coming to America on our 250th birthday. We're coming off a high. What is this really? What are we going to be looking at this summer? Is America going to have this, even if it's not the 80s, is it going to be beautiful?
It will in some way. And I just want to start off with this. In 1980, I was still swimming around with I was microscopic and swimming around with my father. I didn't come around until 81. So that's when I was born. But yeah, it may and may not be. Now, I know it's the 250 year anniversary of the United States of America, and I know it's going to be a big celebration. I know, and then we have the Summer Olympics coming as well, the following. And I don't know. It's very hard to feel the pulse of America right now. We have our wins here and there, and the State Union address was very great last night. I think Trump kind of got them, like I said before, or earlier in the show. And I see people that are getting more active and more getting out to vote. And I see, I work with the young Republicans as well, Burlington County and Camden County, and we have Turning Point USA chapters here as well. And I see a lot more. I had two 15-year-olds that contacted me and wanted to work on my campaign. Now, I had no clue they were 15 years old. Zero. They went on my website and they live around here. They're actively working on. They worked on Jack Chiarelli's campaign and they're working on other people's campaign. I had to call their parents to make sure that it was okay. But these two kids were impressive for 15 years old and being that involved and wanting to help out. I mean, all the things that they said they could do and help out. And I said, guys, I said, thank you very much. I really appreciate you reaching out to me. But I said, I got to check with your mom and dad. Can't just have work on my campaign. So I did. I spoke with their parents, and so there's the hope there. Yeah. In that. So I hope we can accomplish it. I think we're close to getting over that hump. I hope we are, but there's always going to be that negative stuff. The far left people that want to destroy this country are not going anywhere anytime soon.
I wanted to ask you that final question because. You have something that you've encountered in your race, and as we end tonight's show, you and Damon Sherrod, who is producer behind the scenes that you guys don't see, you worked with something I've used, which I think is great, which is it's called Suni, which is an AI version of making songs. What you came across was that is it Franklinville, New Jersey police dogs. Give a quick story on that, and then we're going to go into this video that we're talking about with K9 Country Jam.
So I was door knocking, and I knocked on the door. I was getting signatures for my petition, and this guy Gene, he gave me a flyer, and it was about this fundraiser for police dogs, the K9s, and I had no idea that they weren't covered like for veterinary bills or anything like that. So they're handlers. So the police officer that has the dog takes care of it, and they live in his home. But if it gets sick or gets, hurt in line of duty or something like that, they have to pay the vet bills themselves. So they're not covered under the insurance. So they have a fundraiser. And I was like, wow. I said, okay. I said, I'll put it up on my podcast. And then our great producer, Damon, he's like, hey, well, you're pretty good at writing song lyrics. And I did. And I used the AI app to make it. I had to run it through like 15 times until I got it close. But the guys that are coming, the country singers that are coming up to promote this fundraiser, I went and listened to their songs. I'm like, okay, so I want to try to make it just like how they sing. And a great producer put it together and I wrote the lyrics, made the song. He put all the visual effects in there and made it amazing. So and they like it a lot. We sent it to the sergeant. I just got on the phone with him before we jumped on this podcast, and he's going to send it to those country music singers and see if they want to sing it as well. And but I don't know, it's just we're getting kind of handy with this stuff, and it's good for a good cause too.
We're going to end with that song, but I want to say thank you guys for having me as a host tonight. I'm Tim Fazenbaker. You have Josh Bernstein, Eleana Barbera, the old man Seth, Eisenberg, and Damon, Galdo. Let's play this song, K9 Country Jam. And guys, take care, America first. We will see you next time.
That's right. Thank you.
Cut through the Jersey night, another call, another fight, partner riding by his side, poor Paul steady full of pride. He does not quit, he does not slow, runs straight where the danger goes, but when the bills come crashing in, the handler pays again. Yeah, the badge is heavy, the job is tough, but these brave dogs deserve enough. Boots on the ground, paws in the fight, K9 heroes working all night. They wear the shield, they hold the line, they give their all every time. If they are officers when danger calls, they should be covered through it all. So we raise our voice and raise this jam for the dogs who always take the stand. Word got out across the land, Country Hearts started a band. Adam Wardrop brought the flame, Bubba Beer back the name. And Colby Lee Swift with strings that cry, singing for the dogs who never ask why. Just good men trying to make it right, standing up in the spotlight. Yeah, small town hearts and a country sound, standing up and laying it down. On the ground, paws in the fight, K9 heroes working all night. They wear the shield, they hold the line, they give their all every time. If they are officers when danger calls, they should be covered through it all. So we raise our voice and raise this jam for the dogs who always take the stand. Stage, crowd gets loud, the good hearts raise. These dogs do not choose the line, still they cross it every time. Till the budget makes it right, we will sing into the night. Boots on the ground, paws in the fight, America hear us loud tonight. Fund the heroes who cannot speak, stand by the brave who guard our streets until the day the system stands tall. We will not stop, we will not stall. Country strong and back in the blue, K9 heroes, this song is for you. For every handler standing tall, and every dog who gives his all.
America's Pulse Network thanks you for watching tonight's episode of the Pulse Podcast. See you at the next packed episode that will take you from breaking news to informative topics. So please click on the subscribe button to get notified for upcoming episodes. If you liked what the Pulse covered, then share the Pulse Podcast with others. APN's The Pulse hosts look forward to seeing you on the next episode.